But just a stellar performance overall from Madrid. As you can see, a comfortable win for them. I'm sure they wouldn't have wanted to concede the one goal, but in the end, 6 wins from 6. Perfect start for Xabi Alonso, who now is the best start for any new coach at Real Madrid. And there they are, sitting pretty at the top of the table, 5 points ahead of their rivals Barcelona, who will be playing on Thursday. All right, let's welcome in some more of this team. We are absolutely worldwide today. What a party. Luis Garcia, who is joining us, as well as Frank Leboeuf, who wanted to get in on the La Liga action. But Luis, or actually Craig, let me start with you, because
No, I was happy for you to go to Luis.
You were happy? You tired of talking?
I tell you one of my favourite bits of this game tonight, which was an excellent result for Real Madrid, was when those sort of around 70 minutes when Xabi Alonso was making those substitutions again. This is the sort of devil inside me. And the director, because the camera panned to Vinicius Jr. And he had this sort of big, laughable, sort of forced grin in his face, thinking...
He knew the storylines.
Is it me? It wasn't him, but I think he was in his head. You know what I mean? So that was quite interesting to see if we would have taken him off. The job was pretty much done by that point. We talked about it in the pre-show of this Real Madrid game. The biggest star who's had the biggest boot up the backside from Xabi Alonso thus far is Vinicius Jr. Benched him, subbed him, made the player know who is the boss, basically. And we asked if we'd get a reaction. And I know it was Levante. But what Xabi Alonso's looking for is a reaction from Vinicius Jr. on the field, both defensively and going forward. And the type of goal that he scored tonight, albeit it's not the strongest of opponents, but that's the whole point of Alonso's man management at this early stage, and it is very early. It's a different style to Ancelotti. You know, he's replacing one of the most successful coaches in the history of the game, but he needs to find a way to get a tune out of his best players. He's getting it from Mbappe, and he got a very, very good reaction from Vinicius Jr. tonight.
Luis, what did you like the most about these Real Madrid performances? Because like I said, we could speak about so many different things in these games, whether it's Kylian Mbappe once again coming up trumps with 2 goals, Vini Jr. with that great reaction, Mastantuono getting his first goal for Real Madrid. What stood out to you?
That the feeling is that we are just seeing this Real Madrid growing and growing every single weekend. Today was 4. It's true that in the first 15 minutes, first half, and also in the second half, they started in a low pace, allowing Levante to believe that they could get something. But in the moment that they gear up a little bit, you can see that the talent, the quality of the players managed to get another 4 goals. And again, rotations, new players coming back, the players that were injured, Bellingham is getting minutes, Alaba, we saw it today. Players who haven't been involved that much, they are getting more minutes. And I can feel that this Real Madrid is becoming stronger and stronger. Last year, even with rotation, Real Madrid, you could see that in many games, they were exposed, they were vulnerable. Right now, you can see that Real Madrid can control the games. They are solid at the back, and they are really, really a big threat in the last third. So right now is a big team facing for the rest of the competition. And I'm sure that in the beginning of the season, we thought that Barcelona was going to the team to be beaten because they won last year. But what I'm seeing for this Real Madrid is becoming the favorite to win La Liga because they look so solid and they are getting stronger and stronger. So we'll have to wait and see in the coming weeks because the games are coming thick and fast. Champions League is coming next week with a long trip back to Kazakhstan and also the game at the weekend of the derby. But the way that Xabi Alonso is managing the dressing room with all this rotation, I think is in the right way. So yeah, really, really interesting what Real Madrid is showing this year.
I know that must have tasted like vinegar coming out of Luis's mouth to say that Real Madrid looking like favourites for La Liga. Craig, do you agree?
Bit early. Big test. Big test at the weekend. They played off. I'm trying to think of some of the teams that played. They played Levante. They'll be in a relegation fight. They played Espanyol. Played Oviedo.
Sociedad,
one of the stronger sides. But you know, Oviedo and Levante. So they've had a fairly softish start. They have Atletico at the weekend.
Yeah.
They're already sort of fighting to get on track. So I think it is a little early at the moment.
It is. I mean, we saw in the Champions League when they played Marseille, that wasn't super straightforward. They got the 3 points. If they are favourites, I think it goes back maybe more to Barcelona's deficiencies, and I'm thinking about Inigo Martinez leaving and not being replaced at all. That might be what makes them favourites. But there's a lot to come, and a lot to see how he handles it, especially when Bellingham comes back, where he fits in.
Frank, what do you think? What stood out to you from Real Madrid today?
Well, I was impressed by the goal that they scored, the four goals, even the penalty, what happened to Mbappe before, and the trick that he made, pretending that he was about to shoot and put the ball behind his left heel, and it's been tackled by the defender, was absolutely magnificent. I enjoyed that. But I don't get carried away by the result, because I think Levante at the beginning of the game and the beginning of second half came back. And as Gab just mentioned, I saw the game also against Marseille. I don't get carried away by that team yet. I think I'm very happy by the man management of Xabi Alonso. And Craig is absolutely right. You know, he's the first who can confront the players and say, you know what, go on the bench. And that's great, because you can see they put their feet on the ground and they come back better. And it's what happened today with Vini. And that goal is a pure genius move from Vinicius Junior. And after he made an assist, he was man of the match and deserved it, and it was great. So saying that the way Xabi is dealing with the players is the right way to deal with those stars. But again, there's so many things that I'm not happy with, that I don't see Real Madrid being at the top, that they have to work on that. But yeah, they're getting better, but they're not, for me, the favorite of that Liga. When I saw Barcelona away from home at Newcastle, the way they're playing, for me, they're much better right now, Barcelona, than Real Madrid.
Well, there's even more problem. I mean, it's been a good start. I mean, it's a bit like
Yeah.
Liverpool in a sense. I mean, Real Madrid have probably made it easier. It's a bit like Liverpool this season. Again, there was another tight win, late goal tonight in the Carabao Cup. But they haven't played. There was a lot of changes in the Carabao Cup, but they haven't played great in the league, but they've been getting results. For Xabi Alonso going into this club, it's first and foremost, before you can get everybody on side, you need to make sure you're getting results, just to make sure you're off to a good start and you're not behind the 8 ball. But he's got even more problems coming, in a sense. We've talked about Vinicius, but the more players come back, the more people are knocking at his door. Jude Bellingham was back in action tonight. Camavinga's back. So as the squad gets deeper and bigger, and there is more elite players to select, we're not just going to be talking about Vinicius getting subbed or who's going to start there, because I think the guys talked about it yesterday. Where do they get, Bellingham? How does he fit Bellingham back in? You got Tchouaméni, you got Camavinga, you got Arda Güler throwing his hat in the ring, Fede Valverde. The list goes on. So it's a good problem to have, but he's certainly got some balancing acts coming up. And if there was any doubt, and I don't think there was about Vinicius playing at the weekend, I really don't think, even if he was average tonight, he would probably have played at the weekend. I think that one has been put to bed, because that was a really good reaction from him.
He's a young talent, and I'm not surprised by what he can do on the last year, because we saw where he coming from. We saw at the club World Cup, and what he surprised me most at his work rate. He defends, he tracks back, he fights every single ball. That's something that for Xabi Alonso is very important. Not what you can do up front, because we know that all the players that Xavi's got in the last year, they are overly talented, thinking about creating and scoring goals. But what you can help me when we are in transition, what you can help me when we need to go back and try to get a compact team in some games. And I think Masantonio today proved that he's ready to do that, to go forward, to make transition, to fight for the ball back, and also to track back players. That's something very important for the future. Solid at the back is what Real Madrid is going to need if they want to keep this consistency.
It's not just today's game, though, is it? I've seen him in a few games this season where he's great in tight areas, edge of the box, beating players, little nutmegs. And that was a compliment when I say he's not shot, because he is a young guy. When I say
he looks
when
like
I say he's not
built
shot
for
at
that
confidence, I
stage.
don't mean he's strutting about Madrid with his chest out saying I'm the big I am. But he just feels like, when you go to a club this size, it can eat you up. It can. You could go in there and you could just absolutely nosedive because of the pressure. But I think he seems to me, Gab, is a young man who's going to thrive on it.
He did his homework. on Xabi Alonso. I mean, Xabi Alonso, the days of Ancelotti and Zidane are over, right? Xabi Alonso isn't the pragmatist the way they are. He's a system coach. He wants you to do certain things off the ball, things that, maybe took Arda Güler a lot more time to do when he came over as sort of a young phenom. And I think that's why from day one, I mean, what Luis was saying there about his defensive work rate, he looks around and he says, I've got Vini on the other side. At least this side, I'm going to go and I'm going to work my backside off. He can see me in training. He can see that I can do special things with the ball. But just as important, I want to show that if I'm in the team, I can do the out of possession part of the game. And I think there were some doubts over him regarding that. And I think he's embraced that. And that's why he's in there right now ahead of other players.
And is he going to be the death knell in football parlance of Rodrigo? Who is going to, looked as if he was out and then looked as if he may have been playing a bigger part at the start of the season and now he's gone back the other way.
I think Rodrigo's going to compete with Vini for playing time on the left, which is Rodrigo's best position anyway, as well as Vini's best position. I mean, I think this is the way it's shaping up. And then on the right, I would assume that you're looking at Brahim Diaz, you're looking at possibly Arda Güler has to go back there once Bellingham returns as a starter, if he does get the start. And then maybe in some special games, he might even wheel out the whole Valverde as a right winger trick that Ancelotti seemed to enjoy.
Oh, Valverde.
So let me
All
get
about
this right.
balance.
Because I'm feeling I'm okay for the most part. But I feel like I'm having a Stevie moment with this player.
Which one? Mastantuono?
Yeah.
I know, because you said Mastantuono.
I feel like whenever I'm going to talk about him, I'm feeling that I'm having a Stevie moment with couple of his, don't want to throw him under the bus. I already have, it seems. Apart from that, I love this player. But I'm going to have to get my tongue around that.
Just call him by the first name, Franco.
Franco.
Call him Franco.
Yeah, look,
you could be
people in
first name
Spain
basis.
have difficulties with
professional.
Alexander-Arnold, so he becomes Trent.
No,
He just becomes Trent.
Franco.
Yeah, I've got a big thing about using first names.
Call him Franco.
It feels as if it's too friendly.
Mastantuono.
Let's move on. Good player.
Great player.
Very good. Because he knows the space, and these numbers obviously are excellent. He's pretty much first at everything this year. But, that sounds, if people watching this would be going, Kylian Mbappe shouldn't be getting caught offside. But he got caught offside a lot of times last year, and it was because he was forcing his run too early. And Frank just mentioned it. He's got so much pace, he doesn't have to do that. He didn't have to do it last year, but he did. So I think the less pressure that he feels and the more confident that he feels, he was able just to hold his run off there for that ball to be played in, and then he got on the end of it and the finish was great. Isn't football an amazing game? I've never seen a worm turn quicker than Luis Garcia. We could not get him to say anything positive about Real Madrid last year at any point during the season, and yet his former teammate and his mate Xabi Alonso go there, and he's already anointing them champions. It's amazing, absolutely amazing, Luis. It's the worm has turned the full 180.
That's all 360.
No.
360. Honestly, I'm enjoying what I'm seeing because at least I see that there is an intention, an idea. They are building. They are not ready, but they are building. And I haven't said that they are favorite. I see that they are becoming favorite because they are getting stronger, they are getting better, they are bringing back the players and that looks like if this Real Madrid is getting already the result, it's true, not against the toughest opponents, but if they are getting ready to face the toughest one in the coming months, but they are going to have all the players ready with rotation, they are going to be sharp, they are going to be ready to face every single team. I think that this Real Madrid is going to be strong in all competitions.
I'll be keeping my eye on you this year.
I saw that.
I'm keeping my eye on you.
Craig, I saw Luis when I said that Barcelona is better than Real Madrid. I saw him nodding. He was so happy that I said that. It meant a lot.
He knows where his heart lies.
Oh, leave him alone.
He does. Well, it lies in two places, actually, because there's a little part that lies at Atletico de Madrid.
Oh, he's got a third team.
He's got a third team. We know that Luis is not cheering for Real Madrid. We will see. Well, maybe now, Luis, it'll be interesting to see who you root for in this one. Atleti against Real Madrid, the good old Madrid derby. Saturday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time on ESPN+. Make sure to tune in.
And Liverpool, Another narrow win, as Gav mentioned, watching it, another late goal. A lot of changes in the team. But Hugo Ekitike has absolutely won the Ballon d'Or of stupidity. Right. And I wasn't going to mention Ballon d'Or because I know you guys talked about it yesterday. And I know,
we're going to talk about it
I know
today.
I was off yesterday, which I think now looking at it was a strategic move from the bosses. But I don't think you see. Every now and again, you see something that is just utterly stupid and sort of brainless, and this was one of them. Because, yes, they've signed Alexander Isak, but he hasn't had that much game time. He got a goal tonight. But Palace are a tough nut to crack at Selhurst Park. They're a good side. They've got 3 big centre-backs. You want to have your best players, your informed players. And for something as utterly stupid as this, Liverpool are going to miss him at the weekend. I mean, it's just bonkers.
Frank, this is your countryman. This is your countryman that's been doing only good things so far in a Liverpool shirt. Can you even try to defend him in this one?
No, I mean, it's impossible to defend him. I mean, we have to blame him. We have to congratulate him when he does good things. But today, I mean, the second yellow card. But I always complain about that, players taking their shirt off. Because, the clubs try to hardly find, sponsors. And when you score a goal, it's when you see the sponsor. And the sponsor put lots of money. And you have and those players, they have a stupid idea to take off the shirt. Well, I would be the chairman. I will fine them on top of it. Because, you don't do the job. You don't show in the sponsor. But on top of it, yet, you know that you have a yellow card. And I know that Hugo is a smart guy. But I don't know how. And we have to ask him why he took his shirt off. He penalized himself, but he also, as Craig mentioned, penalized his team for next game. I don't understand that, and I won't try to find any excuse to what he did.
He's got a wedding to go to, stag weekend,
Maybe.
birthday party. He's got something to go to at the weekend.
Apparently. Maybe he knew Frank was watching because he gave Frank his shirt at the Community Shield. You didn't get a shirt, Craig. Maybe he was showing it up so you can get one now.
Well, there's 2 reasons I didn't get a shirt. Well, one, nobody likes me. But I wasn't there at the time. I was making my way down from the gantry because I was on double duty, not like Frank and Nathan just standing at the side. And 2,
Oh my God!
and 2, I never.
You double paid. Your wage is double as us. So it's normal that you work like that.
Shh. And I didn't go begging for a shirt.
Okay.
No, but on the serious side, he's had an excellent start to the season.
Yeah.
And I just can't, for the life of me, understand how a player can forget he's just been booked for dissent and then does that. I just can't get my head around it.
Well, Luis, overall, at least Liverpool did get the win in this one. But once again, as Gab was pointing out, they left it late.
Yeah, exactly. Once again, showing his mentality. It wasn't the best game, but truly got in. Being allowed to go through and to win another game is about the consistency, to keep the momentum. And the first goal for Isaac is also very important to try to release that pressure after the arriving with a massive price tag and all the pressure that comes with that. Knowing that you're going to be fighting with Ekitike, it comes in the second half and score another goal. He's been scoring almost in every single goal that he played for Liverpool. So I think it was also important for him. And again, it's about keeping the momentum, and Liverpool is doing a fantastic job.
But in the end, Chelsea still were able to get the win. They also did leave it a little too close for comfort there. But in the end, Enzo Maresca does get through. All right, it's time to talk about Craig's favorite topic, the Ballon d'Or, shall we? As you know, in L'Équipe, they celebrated with this cover, Ousmane Dembele as the Ballon d'Or winner. Let's have a look at the top 5, though, on how it all mapped out. You'll see Lamine Yamal ending up in 2nd, Vitinha in 3rd, Salah in 4th, and Rafinha, which a lot of people didn't really like, was left in 5th. But speaking of not liking how the voting went, Lamine Yamal's dad didn't like how it went. This is what he had to say. He said, I think this is the biggest, I won't say theft, but moral damage done to a human being, because I believe Lamine Yamal is the best player in the world by far, by a huge margin. Now, look, this is his dad, so you're probably not expecting to say anything less. But Frank, I know you're over there absolutely laughing at this.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, I remember Frank Ribery story that he deserved to get the Ballon d'Or and didn't have, and that was a scandal for me. But overall, we are talking about a young lad who, if he carries on like that, I'm talking about Lamine Yamal, he's going to get a Ballon d'Or. But he shouldn't get his target. They shouldn't be. We shouldn't listen to his father. We don't care what his father thinks. He's not a professional football player. He hasn't been a football player. He's just the father of somebody. And I'm pretty sure Lamine Yamal is going to be okay. He just won the La Liga. He won the titles, the European Championship with Spain. He's only 18 years old. He's going to get tons of titles, tons of Ballon d'Or. So breathe, my man, and it's going to be okay. I'm happy for Ousmane Dembélé. But again, I cannot care less about that trophy. And you know me, like you know Craig, we don't care because it doesn't bring anything to football except those comments from parents. Again, parents, please shut up, parents. We don't need your advice. We don't need your comments. You're just parents. Come on.
Well, don't besmirch my name. I actually like this award.
Do you?
No.
I thought so. What would you make of Lamine Yamal's father's comments?
This is the world we live in now, it seems. We have seen Job Bellingham's father get involved at Dortmund. We've seen other instances of family members talking about players who haven't won awards. There is, and for what it's worth, I actually thought he would have been a fitting winner of it, but I haven't got a problem with Dembele. I thought he was brilliant too. We never had parents involved. Maybe it was just, my parents, like most people's parents, when, I was playing in London and it's a long way from Scotland, so they wouldn't come down a lot. But if they did come down to a big game, be it at Wembley or wherever, they certainly wouldn't get involved in anything that was to do with me. And if my dad ever got involved, I would have dragged him out. I can say that because he's no longer with us, so he can't challenge it. So yeah, I just feel that there is no need, and I don't think it helps the young man really in his own mind. We saw Vinicius Junior struggle to accept it a year or two ago, and Real Madrid as a club struggled to accept it, and it didn't really do them sort of many favours in a positive manner going forward. It certainly didn't do Vinicius Junior any positivity because he went on to have not a very good season. Now, whether it was in his mind or not, I don't know. But these things are voted by other people, and lots of them. So you can't control it, can you?
No, it's a popularity contest, and I go back to the old thing that, the trophies that you win, you earn. Trophies that people give you, which is what this is, they're just not worth the same thing. And if you want to, it is kind of sad. Like rather than being happy for Dembele, who used to play for Barcelona, whose career at one point seemed to go permanently off the rails, and then who came back, and he gets to enjoy this. But you got to go dump on not just Dembele, but he's the best player in the world by a huge margin. Like, hey, do I need to send Kylian Mbappe around your house? Do I need to send Messi and Cristiano? Do I need to sick the Messi and Cristiano fanboys on you, Lamine's dad? Come on. Like, I talk about like setting the wrong example, where if you don't win it, it's the theft or it's moral damage or it's a scandal. It's a vote. Look who's on the jury. Look how they voted. Take it up with them. Simple as that.
That's a good point. You're defined by, you really are, and I know, people will say he's got X amount of Ballon d'Ors and blah, blah, but it's voted. People have voted for you for this. You're not defined, you shouldn't be defined by the Ballon d'Ors. You should be defined by what you're doing on the field in terms of the success at the end of it, the trophies. And you can't always play for a team that's winning the Champions League or La Liga or the Premier League. It's just not going to happen. You've got Harry Kane scored 46 goals, I believe, for Bayern Munich. They win the Bundesliga, but they get knocked out of all the other big tournaments. That can happen. He could have been in the running, for example, with that amount of goals again. So I think we're getting into a scenario where there's too much onus now in this, and I think it's media-driven. Coming from us is a bit strange because we are media.
It is.
But I think it is media-driven, and we are somewhat guilty as well, because we talk about it as much. but we're almost driving the importance of it up. What's more important to me is seeing how Dembele's turned his career around from the discipline problems at Dortmund and Barca, being late, being injured, being wasteful in the final third, as he was a lot, and changing all that and going on to have the season that he did.
There's no doubt in my mind that if Paris Saint-Germain, they played Arsenal in the semi-finals of the Champions League, as we all remember, right? Very, very close game. Arteta still thinks they were the better team. Fine. Paris Saint-Germain go out. I guarantee you Dembele does not win this award. I guarantee you Vitinha certainly doesn't finish third, because many of these voters would have no idea who Vitinha even is, right? That's what you have to understand about the voting pool in this. These aren't experts. These aren't apostles come down from Mount Zion. These are a bunch of randos, many of them, who just watch big games on TV and go on that and say, oh, you won something, I need to reward you. And that's as simple as that. Equally, the flip side. If Francesco Cerbi doesn't materialize in the box and score that goal, and Barcelona beat Inter, they probably beat Paris Saint-Germain in the final, maybe. And Lamine Yamal would have won this award. It's as simple as that.
Luis, we know that Lamine Yamal's father isn't a stranger to the headlines over in Spain. How are his comments being received there? What are people talking about after the Ballon d'Or?
Not interested in those comments, Alexis. For me, I'm focusing on what I can see on the field and what is my opinion. At the end, we all have our opinions. If we throw who are going to be the winner or who we thought it was going to be the winner of the Ballon d'Or, I'm sure that on the table we'll have some more or less the same ideas. One will say maybe Vitinha, other one will say Hakimi, other one, but we'll be very close. I think that the way it was coming out is all about opinions and the way that we see football. For me, I think Ousmane Dembele deserved to win the Ballon d'Or. He did have a fantastic season. He won many trophies. It was very important for the team, for his national team. So what else can a player do to win a Ballon d'Or like this one? And if we go back, we all remember players, Fran just mentioning about Ribéry, we all remember Iniesta, we all remember Xavi, Raúl, Lewandowski, players who were incredible and didn't get the Ballon d'Or. So I'm not bothered too much about what the opinions of one or the other was. We all have our own and we have to respect them. So I'm just happy to see Ousmane Dembele coming back from a tough situation that he was when he left Barcelona, and how he raised his standards, how he developed himself, how he improved himself to become Ballon d'Or. So yeah, I'm really happy for him.
You could argue that Rafinha was the biggest improvement of the lot, although Lamine Yamal was a youngster coming through, and it's been a consistent, including the Spanish national team. But you could argue that Rafinha has propelled himself higher and quicker than Dembele, from Leeds United to struggling to Nico Williams coming in potentially, but they didn't have the money, so Rafinha stays, and he repays them with those numbers, which are actually better than any of the other two. One of the things for Lamine Yamal here is that he has, on the face of it, a very balanced coach who, thus far, both at Bayern Munich, when he was fighting the Niko Kovac fires, and at Barcelona, when he came in off the back of Xavi, where some of the players were a little bit, upset and, didn't really know what was at Lewandowski, and Gundogan had these problems and blah, blah, blah. What we know is that Hansi Flick's a very good man-manager. He's a good coach, but he's, talked to Jurgen Klinsmann, our colleague, who says he's very good behind the scenes talking to the players. And I think we've had good, we've seen a lot of good instances about that. And I think this is a good time for a manager like Hansi Flick, like Ancelotti, managers that talk to the players understand, to take them aside and go, exactly what Gab was saying. Hey, it's a vote. Yeah. Respect Ousmane Dembele, but you were great. You're the best player for me. Forget about that. We have a big season ahead. Real Madrid have started well. I need you to be focused. I need you to go out and do what you've been doing, and you will reap the rewards. I think you'll get that from Hansi Flick, and I think it's just that he's got a coach who's very good at putting his arm around the player and saying, listen, don't let this get to you. You're a young man. You have the world at your feet, and just keep doing what you're doing, and the success will come.
Right. Well, I think
I should have been a manager.
You should have been a manager. I felt very inspired by your speech there.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's let Luis Garcia.
Let Luis go to bed.
Yeah, Luis, I'm sorry. We've kept you very, very late, but we hope you were inspired by Craig's speech just there at the end. We're cutting into your wine time. Get some rest. Gracias, Luis. Well, I'm pretty sure Luis will be back for our La Liga coverage and plenty more games in the week. Atleti play tomorrow, but then Thursday, a special one for us. Real Oviedo against Barcelona. You know how much our Sid Lowe means to Oviedo, as well as how much he means to them. So
I don't want him blubbering during this game.
Craig Burley will be back in studio for that one, as well as Dan Thomas, and you can bet Sid will be there. All right, let's talk about Arsenal against Manchester City. Yes, we're still talking about this. This was the big game on Sunday in the Premier League, and even though it ended in a draw, a lot of criticism was placed at Mikel Arteta's feet, saying that he played too conservatively. Well, Mikel Arteta was speaking today about what he heard from that criticism. Have a listen.
Does it frustrate you, or is it people just not looking at the approach you're actually setting the team up in terms of how you want them to play rather than the specific individual players that you want to get?
No, because I don't read it, but he does tell me a little bit what the narrative is around it. If you tell me that this is the main one, if I'm surprised, I would be extremely surprised with my knowledge and my know-how and how I analyze a football game. Because it was impossible for somebody to predict such a dominance from Arsenal throughout 96 minutes, because it never happened in 17 years of Pep as a manager. So if the narrative goes somewhere else, and we talk about dominance, no, about something else, how can you be dominant against such a team if you have, what was the word it was used? Handbrake. Handbrake. Yeah. Dominance and handbrake, I mean, there are two different worlds. But I accept everything, so I will learn more to have a different vision.
All right, so everyone looks a bit puzzled there.
Well, I was intrigued by a couple of things he said there. And he said, my knowledge and my know-how. I mean, are we running before we can walk here? He's yet to get this Arsenal team over the line. I mean, he won an FA Cup back in the day. My God, it was that long ago. Aubameyang was still playing. I think he is smarting at any sort of criticism that comes his way. And I was watching the show yesterday with Gab and Xhaka and Robbo. I know you guys were talking about it. The crux here, and I was thinking the same thing. When I saw the team sheet, the first thing I thought about was the middle of the park. Before I get to that, let me go back to another thing. He's talking about the dominance of Man City.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever dominated Man City like they did. Man City are a different beast this year. I heard you guys talking about it yesterday. How, they scored that early goal and they went back into a bit more defence. But you look at some of the games this year, including the Man United game, I believe, where Man United were weak in the final third. But I do believe United, and I stand corrected, had more possession in that game.
Yes.
In the second half, yeah,
Right.
a lot more.
Brighton, the same. City have been less about, and this is going back to Arteta's point, about we dominated them. City are allowing teams, or City are playing less of a possession game this year. And again, it goes back to yesterday's show, maybe try to be a bit more direct up to Erling Haaland. Maybe trying to hit the ball forward a bit quicker. And less of this tiki-taka possession, which we know Arsenal can do. So he hasn't all of a sudden figured the whole thing out and they can dominate Man City. Because other teams have been dominating Man City. Yeah. Right? So let's get that out there for starters. The second one is, I was surprised at the team selection. I'll tell you why. For anybody that watched the Liverpool game early on at the very start of the season, it was the same midfield three. And it was lacking guile in that game. Yeah, they dominated some of the possession. Yeah, they looked okay defensively until Szoboszlai scored that great free kick. But that midfield really didn't offer anything going forward. And when I saw the team sheet at the weekend, my first thought was the same thing. Is Mikel Merino going to make those runs into the box that we know he can? Well, we didn't really see that. And when Zubimendi, who's very tidy, goes from side to side, as Robbo likes to say, I think he's a bit better than that. But he does tend to pass it a little bit square. He links the play up. When he's doing that, it needs others to do something different. And clearly when Eze came on and played sort of in behind, he obviously created the goal. it just looked much more dangerous. And I know City were getting back and they made their substitutes, they were getting deeper and deeper. But I was surprised by the team selection, and it said to me, I want to be more solid in the middle of the park rather than more attacking at the start of the game. And nobody's going to give, and this is only my opinion, no, Arsenal have come, I don't think, what is it, nobody's ever finished second in the Premier League 4 times? Or something like that. And they could be setting a record if they don't win it and finish second. Nobody is going to hand them the Premier League. They're not going to say, here it is. You're going to have to go out and win it. And early season thoughts are a little bit too negative. Maybe that's too strong. A little bit too negative in the early games.
Yeah, I don't have a problem at all with setting up to be more conservative against Manchester City, and then maybe you're good on set pieces. Maybe Madueke scampers through. You've got Gyökeres in the air, whatever. But once you get punched in the face, to paraphrase Mike Tyson, once Haaland scores and you're a goal down, all your talk of dominance means we dominated them, we created tons of chances after that. And you didn't do that. You had a ton of sterile possession after that. Yeah. And then we can debate, for me, I'm a big Ranieri guy. I think he can do some of what Odegaard does, who I thought was sorely missed. Or you find a more direct way to play. You knock it in the box. Gyökeres bounces the ball, bounces off him. Marino runs it. Whatever, Rice runs it. But you didn't do any of that. So it almost sounds like you're kind of taking the mickey here when you talk like, we dominated them with our possession, when you even managed to lose the expected goals despite the fact that you were at home and you were chasing the game for 81 minutes.
It was easy possession, wasn't it? Because City had gone.
Well, because City decided to go because Pep can beat you many different ways. And if he realized, we're a goal up away from home early, I'm going to go. I've got Haaland and Doku who are super fast. I'm just going to have all my guys back and just play on the counter and play in transition. And because I can do that too, because I'm Pep and I'm not this one-dimensional stereotype that people depicted me as. And that's why I said yesterday, he got out-coached and he got out-foxed in this by Pep Guardiola, one of the greatest ever. But yeah, he got this wrong.
My issue, and sorry, before I get to Frank, my issue here is, again, you go back, Arsenal are going to have to go and take this title, right? Going to have to go and they're going to take, and they may well do. It's very early in the season. They have a great squad. And he has all the tools. He's been given them. Yeah. There they are. Here's the money. Here's the doubling up in most positions. Okay, we don't know what kind of season Gyökeres is going to have. If he doesn't get much service, then it's going to be tough for him as well. So all this sort of tippy-tappy stuff isn't doing him any favours. He likes balls in the box. Likes balls down the side of defenders where he can use his strength to roll them. But my issue is City are not the dominant force to worry. You've always got to think about an opponent. But it's not City of 2 or 3 years ago where they put the fear of God in you when they turn up on your doorstep. It's just not. Yeah. They've been beaten this season by Brighton and Tottenham. They've shown their deficiencies. You can get at them. You can possess the ball. You can hurt them because defensively, they've looked a little stronger with Kushnerov at right back. I thought Nico Riley did a decent job at left back. He's not a defender. But you can get at them. And that's why I would prefer Arsenal to be on the front foot with a team selection. Because I know with Zubimendi and Rice, I'm probably going to dominate in there anyway. That's why he's in Ranieri. I really like Eze. Yeah. I think he can play in several positions. I think he's clever enough to do that. And he's been on the big stage and he's performed on the big stage, albeit it was for Crystal Palace. And I would have preferred to see somebody like him in there rather than having 3 solid midfielders, because City are there for the taking. And I think Arsenal missed an opportunity here. And when you miss too many opportunities during the season, you will not win the league.
Frank, what did you make of what Mikel Arteta had to say about the criticism that he received and what the boys are saying about it as well?
Well, that's only fair for me because, the team selection was wrong. I mean, when you have the chance to have 2 players like Zubimendi and Rice or Merino and Rice, you don't need to have a triple all together, and you can add somebody more offensive. And I'm sorry, when the team selection, when I see at the beginning of the game on the bench Martinelli, Saka, and Eze, I say there is something wrong. You have those 3 players always. You have game changers, and it's what I like. Madueke is a kind of those players who can change the pace, like you have in Doku for Manchester City. Those players who can change the pace, who can take on players, and they are very fast, and you cannot think in front of them. You just react and do what you can do, the best you can do. And Arsenal didn't have that, and it was too conservative in the middle of the park. And when the guys like Eze and Saka came on, and after Martinelli they came on, we could see that the change was there, and that it should have been done at the beginning. And yes, the opportunity to get the 3 points was missed because of a team selection for me. And he has another game on the Saturday or Sunday against Newcastle. And if he doesn't win, I think Arteta can be in danger, because he made some mistakes that you can easily avoid by making the right choice, and an obvious choice, like everybody said, and it's why he's been throughout, many criticisms.
I wasn't surprised Saka never started. Because Madueke came off with an injury. Madueke was the one guy that was running at Nico O'Reilly in the first half. He came off, he was injured, because otherwise Trossard would have been off. I wasn't surprised Saka didn't start, because, and I heard you and Dan talking about it yesterday. At the end of the day, he was out for 4 months last year with a hamstring. He's had an early season hamstring this year. So you're kind of nursing him in, and it was a kind of needs must. But I was surprised with the non-inclusion of Eze. I'm not saying he's been brilliant since he's gone to Arsenal, but I do think he's a brilliant player, and I think you need to give him his head and give him a run of games. I think if you do that, he'll grow in confidence and he'll create. He can score goals, he can create, he can play players in, and it's not like you need 3 midfielders in there because you've got a ropey defence. Arsenal don't have a ropey defence.
Yeah.
They have 4 centre backs.
Yeah, they've got a very good, solid defence.
Welcome into Extra Time. Alexis Younes here with Gab Marcotti again and Craig Burley. You guys are kind of twinning with the jackets.
We were bold. After Labor Day, we're wearing light-colored blazers.
Yeah.
That's a statement.
Why do they say that?
Don't know why.
Like not to wear white or light colors after Labor Day?
Because I think back in the day, these were humorless, joyless people who made the WASPs, usually, who made the rules for everybody else. But, we've broken through that.
You've broken through that, and still we rise.
I thought you were talking about me there.
Or humorless, joyless WASP.
What are you laughing at?
The humorless, joyless. No, Craig's full of humor.
Right,
you should see him off camera. Off camera. All right, the first question is for Craig. Craig, how scandalous was it that ESPN didn't have you on the panel last night? Night of Ballon d'Or.
Strategic move from the bosses.
And one that you're thankful for.
Oh, very. Well, I am not. I'm partial to a day off when I can get one. Particularly if it's the Ballon d'Or, I'm happy to leave that to others. So yeah, I had to get prepared for the big La Liga games.
Yes, because you're on 2 this week, aren't you?
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Well, Gab slotted in. That was great.
They had fun.
I was asked to fill Craig's big shoes.
No, you were here anyway.
What's true?
You would have been in anyway.
All right, next question. Also for Craig. Wow. Craig, is it a coincidence? Uh-oh, you're going to love this one. Is it a coincidence that you and Frank are on today and not yesterday? Was it because you were too engaged in the ceremony to make the show?
I'll be honest, I didn't even know that it was the Ballon d'Or yesterday.
There's one every year.
Yeah, but I didn't know it was yesterday till late in the day.
Oh, we actually forgot that we have Frank Leboeuf with us. Frank, I am so sorry. We forgot that you had us with us. We were having too much fun here at the desk.
That's all right. That's all right. It's always a joy to watch you. You know what? During the show, during the show, I saw that the youngest guy who scored goal for Real Madrid was Alberto Rivera. And I said, I know that guy. And in fact, I played with him in Marseille. He was on loan from Real Madrid with Marseille. So I played a couple of games with him, I think, yeah. And to answer to your question, I didn't know either that it was the Ballon d'Or. I was at the show.
You live in Paris, Frank.
No, but I don't care. I went to see an astrophysician talking about stars, but the real stars, I didn't even know. There was a great show about, a guy explaining the stars and the universe and everything. I was so far away from the Ballon d'Or, and it was so much interesting than the Ballon d'Or.
You went to an astrophysician.
Astrophysicist.
Yeah, it's a show. It's a fun show, yeah.
What
I heard my old teammate was hosting it.
Ruud Gullit?
Yeah, I heard it
Right.
went well.
Yeah, and they had not just that.
Somebody said it went. Cause I didn't watch it, but somebody said it went really well.
I watched it. I told you what.
I know you did.
Yeah, we had DJ Snake, and Javier Pastore, who I think this is like a nod at Paris Saint-Germain. Says we need to bring in our greatest ever player of the kind of pre-Qatar era to show that we have a lot of history, even though the club was founded in 1970. And so it's either going to be George Weah or it's going to be Javier Pastore. George Weah unavailable, so they wheel Javier Pastore all the time. And he gave the award, I think, for best club of the year, which was won by, no prizes for guessing, Paris Saint-Germain, of course. It was him and a guy called DJ Snake, who reminded us that he's Paris born and
Don't
bred.
talk about DJ Snake. He's a friend of mine.
I thought he would be.
DJ Snake is a friend of mine. So the guy is a monster in the world of music. Well, he's just a DJ, of course. He's not a musician per se, but he's a great guy. He lives in Miami and support Paris Saint-Germain like crazy. And he's a great guy.
He doesn't even live in Paris, and he claims to be such a massive Paris Saint-Germain fan.
Well, you know, when you earn too much tax, you don't want to live in France. So it's better to be in Miami.
Why do they need to get these people on?
What, DJ Snake?
Just any of them?
It's for the show, isn't it? Because
show?
God forbid we have a 30-minute show where you just hand out the awards and off everyone goes.
Yeah. 30 minutes.
You have to drag it out.
That's 29 minutes too long. 1 minute in and out, bosh.
Announce it all.
There you go. In fact, I wouldn't even have them there. Just get them on the big screen.
Fair.
Sat at home with a cup of hot chocolate or something, and Usman, you've won the Ballon d'Or, and he goes like that and then switches it off.
Yeah. Here's yours, Aitana. We'll post it to you to go with your other ones.
Well, if not, he probably would have just been playing against Marseille and losing. But maybe if he played, they wouldn't have lost.
Well, he's injured, so he probably wouldn't have been very good.
But if he were, and that's true. Nah.
Vinicius, you're on
You know,
camera.
you
win nothing.
Frank?
You know that on Sunday I took the train to go to Marseille to work for the game for the Marseille Paris Saint-Germain, and the game was postponed at Monday night, and so I had to go back to Paris to see the astrophysicist, as you said, and so I missed the Marseille game, the classic, and I missed the Ballon d'Or. Yeah, but I learned so much about stars, so it's fine.
All for the astrophysicist. That's something I never thought I would need in life, but now I'm questioning it.
I pictured you as like a little girl with a big telescope in Jamaica looking up at the stars, no?
No. I did look up at the stars, but we didn't have a telescope. Astrophysicist. Might check it out.
Howling at the moon again?
Howling. That's me. That's me certain times. I do howl at the moon. Next question. Frimpong looked quite frustrated at Ekitike after taking his shirt off and getting a red card. Ever experienced something as a player where a teammate did something to get sent off but forgot the consequences? How does Arne Slot and the locker room react?
You want to talk about that?
No, because he says if you got a teammate, I don't know, Gavin, I probably didn't have professional teammates.
How did your teammates react when you got sent off in a World Cup game?
But for something silly. Oh well.
Well, I didn't take my top off.
Yeah.
I may have, for want of a better expression, wellied a Moroccan player into the air for a straight red at 2-0 down. Early cup of tea, early bath. A little bit sheepish when all the lads come in at the end. Sat in the corner. Actually, it's one of those nights, isn't it? But no, I mean, that was a kind of red mist moment, sort of heat of the moment. This is just silly.
Yeah.
Really. And I didn't miss any more World Cup games because we were out.
By then.
I did miss the qualifiers next time round, 3 of them.
Frank, what about you?
No, I never experienced that kind of stupidity, because that's just stupidity. And again, during the show, I explained that I don't understand why players, they have to take their shirt off. And again, if I'm the chairman of those players, when they take the shirt off, and I work so hard with the board to get a sponsor, and we don't see the sponsor when you score a goal. I don't know, I get crazy. And I say that many times where I would be the chairman, I would find the players who do that. So as much as I love Hugo Ekitike and what he has done to Liverpool since he signed, I cannot forgive him for that. I mean, yeah, I would say that don't do that again, please, Hugo.
That's the second time he's mentioned that tonight.
That was
The
stupid.
corporate sponsors.
That's the second time he mentioned it in the live show. He's mentioned it again. We need to check Ekitiki's shirt that it doesn't say on the front of it the Frank Leboeuf
Foundation.
Appreciation Society.
Frank Leboeuf Fan Club.
It's two different shows, so it's why I have to cover to say it twice.
That's fine, Frank. Next question. If Liverpool were to play PSG or Barca now, would they be able to beat either of them?
Would they be able to? Of course.
Well, Marseille beat Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah, Marseille beat Paris Saint-Germain this weekend. I mean, are they better on paper? Probably not right now because, as we said all along, they have, 4 or 5 new starters that he's got to go and integrate and figure out. And it's not that simple. I mean, I think Wirtz hasn't really been Wirtz all season. I think because he's learning a new position among with everything else. These other two are, frankly, more settled sides, right? I mean, Paris Saint-Germain didn't really add any starters, arguably Zabarni, and neither did Barcelona. So when you look at it that way, yeah, Liverpool are behind the curve, but maybe they won't be when they face them in the Champions League knockout.
Yeah, but don't forget that Paris Saint-Germain, they have Dembélé, Doué, Barcola, Neves injured. It says a lot, you know, and of course it creates damages in the team selection for Luis Enrique. So when you have those 4 players, that's a different team, and they've been champion of Europe because of those players, on top of Hakimi and Mendes and some others. But yeah, right now I think Liverpool will have a hard time against Barca and Paris Saint-Germain. They have to settle down, as Gab alluded, because they have to have the new players to adapt and settle down. But no doubt that throughout the season they're going to get better and they're going to be contenders for the Champions League.
Did I see a quote from De Zerbi that said, one of the reasons I came to Marseille because I'm sick of Paris Saint-Germain winning the league?
That would be brilliant if you said that.
And I had a look. I had a look down, and they were 7th. I know they beat them, but
They need to beat other people.
quite strong, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be brilliant.
Maybe that wasn't a quote of his, but I think it was because he got sent off. He lost the pot
Yeah,
during.
I was going to say he's a hothead.
Yeah, he's
So he would say something.
yeah. I mean, if you'd say that, you'd probably
look it
have to
up.
back it up. Huh?
We'll look it
We'll
up.
look it up. We'll talk about it tomorrow when I'm not on.
All right, well, next question is for Craig and Frank. Craig and Frank, when you defended world-class players, do you expect them to try extraordinary things when you defended them one-on-one? Do defenders worry about looking foolish?
I wasn't a defender, so go to Frank with this.
Frank?
Yes, of course. Of course, you don't want to be humiliated by your opponent. And I always say that's going to be either the ball or the players, but it cannot be both. So, but that was a different time, you know. That was the time where Italians showed us how to defend and to be tough. And that's how I learned, because of my friends playing in Italy, like Marcel Desailly, Lilian Thuram, Laurent Blanc, and so many others, how to be tough on the strikers and the forward players. But yeah, you have to use all the tools because you don't want to be ridiculous in front of them. But it's hard, and you just pray sometimes when you play with top players that they're not gonna be on their best days because you're gonna suffer and again be humiliated by them.
Frank, sorry, just on that point, I'm just curious because I don't remember you being nutmegged. You played a lot of games. You must have been nutmegged at some point, maybe. But was there really a code that back then that if you nutmeg, especially a center back, then you're making him look stupid and they'll come back and they will make you pay for it?
I don't know. I never heard of that. But yeah, but
because you were never nutmegged.
Again, you know, No, I don't remember. I remember during the World Cup final when Rivaldo let the ball go and he went throughout my leg. But that doesn't count as a nutmeg.
No.
But what I did, I blocked Rivaldo. And he ended up on the floor. He never went through. It doesn't work like that. We don't do that.
The game has changed, Gab.
The game's changed.
You can't do that anymore. Somebody annoys you, you can't go
I'm coming back for you.
10 minutes and you're getting it. So going back to that point, when I played in the opening game of the '98 World Cup against Brazil in the Stade de France, the World Cup that Frank won, and he's just mentioned it again, and he mentions it every time he's on the show. Nobody asked him, but he just brought it up about 30 seconds ago. When I played in that World Cup that he won, stole it off Laurent Blanc, to be honest.
Oh, there we go.
That World Cup, is that one?
That World Cup
That's what
Great.
polished off.
Just to add it.
Stick it where the sun doesn't shine.
We can't touch that.
It's on, he's got it on call, 24/7.
Is it right in front of him?
So anyway, you go back to talking about being embarrassed. I was playing the right-hand side for Scotland that day. I had enough on my plate with Roberto Carlos. However, fortunately for me, for the bulk of that game, Ronaldo, Brazilian Ronaldo, number 9, so we're talking almost 27 years ago now. Holy smokes. He was a phenomenon
Yeah.
in his heyday. And I remember that game, for some reason from the striker position, he was pulling onto the left-hand side a lot and not the right-hand side. Because he never scored, but I think I've talked about this before, every time he picked it up, he drifted out there. There'd be a couple of defenders and he would be just setting people on the backside and beating them. And Jim Leighton was in goal, and every time I looked up, the ball was fizzing. Jim was diving. And I was like, holy smokes. Talking about embarrassing people, he could put really good defenders on the backside like that, and you just hate playing against people like that. It's just, they do things that you're not expecting.
So just to come back, Craig, just to come back to that wonderful World Cup that I won, I remember that the morning of the final, Lilian Thuram and Marcel Desailly were talking about Ronaldo and saying, it's going to be crazy. He's going to move his leg. You don't see the ball. He's like a magician, and he's going to go far, and you're not going to get it. And I say, well, okay, thank you guys. I'm going to face him for 90 minutes within like 7 hours. And it happened one time where I was facing him, and I say, well, okay, don't look at his leg, just look at the ball to make sure you don't lose the ball. It's like a trick, a magician trick. And I don't know, I tackled, suddenly I say, I go for it. And I tackled, and I was so lucky, I touched the ball, and I say, oh my God, for me, I won the game already. I touched the ball. That was my hit of the game, because Craig mentioned that guy was unstoppable. It was so fast on his tricks, on his movement, that it was impossible to stop him.
It's not a show, it's extra time. It's pretty much coming to a close, but there is a request into Mike, our director, if he, and this is the request, if he mentions World Cup once more, we either fade him to black or we take his mic.
Show us again.
Mike,
Frank.
I can talk about the European Championship if you want.
There we go!
Oh, we've got some salty Susan here.
Advantage Burley.
Burley. Oh,
Every time he mentions World Cup,
we're fading him to black.
out the show.
We're fading him to black, but only for now, because we will be back tomorrow for more ESPN FC. Make sure to join us on ESPN Plus, and we'll see if Frank is ever allowed back on again.